The Coalview House has been a dark blot on the city for centuries, built on the backs of workers who went missing after its completion by a man whose claim to fame was a military service that nobody could confirm. It held generations of the Cole family in its embrace, each one keeping a new secret. But this time, the Cole secret had affected the wrong people, and some very connected people had hired the law firm of Dunham and Charles, who, in turn, had hired a courier who had knew a few protection spells designed not for people, but for objects around the size of a stack of legal letters. That person, of course, being me. Shockingly, when I arrived at Coleview to formally subpoena Edward Cole the First, the third current patriarch, he was not immediately available to me. But a manservant helpfully suggested I could wait for him in the study. After waiting half an hour, I decided that I had been forgotten about. It is at this point that a wise man would politely remind the staff of his presence and the importance of his mission. I am not a wise man, and I decided that it would be a much better idea from a certain point of view to seek out my target directly. There were a few problems with this plan. One, such an action would be seen as breaking and entering by the well-corrupted authorities. Two, closely related to one, was the fact that the House's security would be painfully aware that the authorities would look the other way and would enjoy using me as a punching bag. Third, I was unarmed, and my meager selection of spells did not include anything vaguely resembling an offensive. And fourth, I had no map and no plan. It is a Thursday night, and I am a Screaming Wyvern. I call myself Wyvern because I hoard role-playing games like a dragon, but I'm unbalanced and mildly toxic. And today, I am playing another game by Seamus Connolly, who wrote The Cog Left Behind, a game which completely threw me off guard. Today's will not be the emotional experience that was. Today is more of a farce, as I attempt a heist on a mansion using only my wits, which is probably something that can be measured. It can't be measured. The measurement is so small that it's not even vaguely possible. So, that is the setup, what I have just shared with you for tonight's story. Just like last time, this is a journaling role-playing game from a certain point of view. In that there's going to be okay, when I said last time, I didn't mean like last week. There is something important about this connecting to last week, but it's not that. There's a lot of prompts involved to help create the story, move the story along, and all that sort of stuff. Seamus has wowed me with his prompts for The Cog Left Behind. So I, seeing no different here, I did do a quick scan through today's game, just to make sure that I knew what the time period was supposed to be, and the answer seems to be meh. There was a mention of gold coins, so I figured that it would probably be okay to go with a urban fantasy setting. But let's go ahead and bring up Tabletop Simulator that we might simulate ourselves. There is our game. There is the information on how you can access it if you are not viewing this on the YouTube. So yeah, no map, no plan, a Carta game of a completely winged heist. Carta is what I want to go ahead and give special mention to. That's how this one connects to last week. Um, Basically, the Carta system is you take a deck of playing cards, you deal out a 4x6 map for yourself face down, and as you flip over the cards, that gives you a connection to some kind of event or plot. Just like with both games I've mentioned, Lost World of being last week, and the Cog Left Behind, there are categories for each suit, which helps make things. Well, it helps to make sure that you feel appropriately paranoid when you happen to flip over the right or wrong suit, depending on your personal opinion. I'll go ahead and put this to the side, and then I'm going to go ahead and literally put it to the side. Let's go ahead and take a brief gander at the contents of this. So, a good heist requires an immense amount of careful setup. Details about the security, the target, the way in and the way out, the crew, the tools needed, all of those need to be studied and planned for extremely carefully in order to make success as likely as possible. You have none of that. There's a big fancy estate upon that hill that you know has to be full of all sorts of goodies. There's you, and there's the cover of darkness. You have no idea what you're heading into tonight, where anything is, or how you're going to get away, but you're still determined to make a fortune with no map, no plan. Title screen. So let's go ahead. No map, no plan is a jamless role-playing game for 1 to 4 players. Today we will be doing 1 player, that's me, hello, in which you take on the role of a thief, completely winging the heist of a rich estate with 0 preparation or foreknowledge, in complete violation of the common sense about such things. You'll respond to prompts, try to remain stealthy, acquire treasure, and try to find your way out before you can get caught. What you'll need: a deck of 52 playing cards, including the jokers. My jokers on Tabletop Simulator are the same. I have run into that being a problem before, and yet I still have forgotten to go ahead and fix that, but I don't think it's going to cause too much of a problem. 1 12-sided die shown here. 1 to 4 markers to represent thieves. I forgot to do that. Let's go ahead and grab me some components, and I am really tempted. Oh, figurines. That sounds fun. Let's go ahead and grab this sirloin here. That's absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. Completely goes against the character as described. But as they say, it's my show. Tokens to represent pieces of treasure. I feel like these poker chips would be useful. Let's go ahead and toss out. How do I copy? How do I clone? Oh, copy. Well, that makes sense. Control C, V, 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 V. There's $100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9. Goodbye. Boop. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's learning! He's not learning. He's making it worse with every attempt. That was totally wrong. Let's go ahead and cut this into a stack of 10 and 8. This is the 8 stack, and it can go away. That one. And let's go ahead and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so there are those items from the checklist. A way to record the events of the game and the responses to the prompts. It's called a microphone, and YouTube and or Twitch, depending on where you are watching this or rewatching it, depending on the day. So, step 1, remove the jokers from and shuffle the full deck. Okay. A few more times. It is annoying that it doesn't make noises. So 23 and 29, go ahead and cut that. That is the set of 29. I'm placing them aside. And this will be my red joker, hypothetically. And we can go ahead and reshuffle that. Okay, so we are now going to go ahead and deal out the deck, or the smaller version of the deck, into a 4x6 grid. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. It does not say into a neatly organized 4x6 grid. Okay, and this will be our black joker. The black joker can start anywhere adjacent to a card. I'm going to assume that this is, relatively speaking, well, the fact is that the exit, whatever the exit happens to be, is shuffled somewhere. So this is very arbitrary. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my starting point right there, and there is the heroic sirloin. All right. And we'll just go ahead and, no, I said everything. Thank you. We'll just go ahead and move those closer. Okay. So, consider what put the idea in your head to heist a wealthy and well-guarded estate without bothering to actually prepare for it. Wow. La, 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 la. Without bothering to actually prepare for it, what point of entry presented itself that you decided to take advantage of on a whim? So, my backstory is that I was hired purely for the purpose of subpoenaing Edwin, the patriarch of the house, and since I wasn't going to get the legal events I wanted, I figured I could just go ahead and discuss the situation in person with him. Although, why not? Why not? Okay. Let's go ahead and see here. Each turn, you move your marker from one card to another, either horizontally or vertically, not diagonally. You will move from the point of entry to the card it's placed adjacent to. You can then discard the point of entry. It will be too risky to go out the same way that you went in. So obviously, I could have just left through the window, like, you know, someone who had a plan. When you move on to a face-down card, flip it over and resolve a prompt corresponding to its value. Clubs. Clubs represent unfortunate surprises, cruel mishaps, and cursed luck. Some may be resolved narratively, and some may call for you to roll a die and may grow the story or provide some mechanical development. Diamonds represent treasures, both what you came for and what you find without looking for, and will always call for you to acquire a piece of treasure. Hearts represent calm moments, comforting meetings, and good fortune. How they resolve is fully narrative and may grow the story or provide a mechanical development. Spades represent the security of the estate you are attempting to rob and will always call for you to roll a die. Some cards will increase or decrease certain values or call for a check. Many will even activate multiple times if you move onto them after they have been turned face up. If a card directs you to turn it sideways, it was a one-time affair and you simply move into its space with no effect. Stealth. Oh. Mr. Wyvern, did you actually read this beforehand? Yes, I did. Okay, let's go ahead and use the counter again, because that worked out very nicely for me last time. Let's see. At the start of play, stealth is set at a value of 4. Certain cards, mostly spades, will call for a stealth check. When this happens, roll 1d12 and add the current stealth value. The number to meet or beat is the printed value of the card. 12 if it's a jack, queen, or king, and 13 if it's an ace. So obviously an ace is instantly activated if the stealth goes down to 0. If you meet or beat the target number, you've succeeded. Resolve the prompt as you avoid trouble. If not, resolve the prompt as you get in trouble, but manage to avoid actually getting caught and reduce stealth by 1. Every time a piece of treasure is acquired, reduce stealth by 1, you're starting to make unfortunate clinking sounds as you skulk about. Certain cards may actually increase stealth, even above the value of 4. Once stealth is reduced to 0 for the first time, the alarm is raised. So my statement about the ace and the die roll is somewhat redundant now. The alarm is raised, lights are turned on, voices sound out, and the footsteps of many heavily armed guards who enjoy their work a bit too much can be heard getting closer. The time for sneaking around is over. Run. If the escape route has not been found, you must, if able, move to an unexplored room. If the escape route has been found, you must not move farther away from it than where you were when the alarm was raised. You continue to make stealth checks whenever you reveal or reach a card that calls for one, but there are 2 changes. And the changes are my inability to figure out how to use a scroll wheel. After rolling, you may sacrifice a piece of treasure in your possession to either gain +2 to your stealth check or re-roll your stealth check. You may do this as many times for a stealth check as you have treasures. Guards scramble to retrieve the pieces of treasure before they can be damaged. If you fail a stealth check while the alarm is raised, that's it. You're caught. Proceed to busted. It's possible that stealth may be increased above 0 after the alarm is raised as you attempt to shake your pursuers. While this will be extremely helpful for making a successful escape, it does not change the fact that the alarm is raised and the rules above continue to be in effect. The Joker in the playing deck represents your escape route. As you have no map and no plan, you haven't set one ahead of time, you'll have to find it in the middle of the heist. If you reveal or move on to the escape route before the alarm is raised, you may resolve the card by leaving. Congratulations, you may begin counting the loot. If you don't want to leave, you don't have to. However, if the alarm is raised, you'll have to escape through a rapidly closing security net. Upon revealing or reaching the escape route, you must immediately make a stealth check against a target number of 11, and you'll either be busted or counting the loot. Either way, describe how it happens. I won't read that information yet. We'll just go ahead and get started. So, our first room is the 5 of diamonds. Diamonds, it says, are just nice, gentle cards, and there goes the Joker. Okay. 5 of diamonds. Oh, no. Diamonds. I should have remembered this. Diamonds are treasure, as makes sense. So, I have managed to come upon the silverware drawer. Like, the entire silverware drawer. As with most silverware from eccentric, wealthy people, this is including many weird forks. I'm going to go ahead and move myself over here. Woo! Okay, I'm going to move myself eventually over here. There we go. And move that so it's visible on the screen at all times. But acquire a piece of treasure and turn this card sideways. Whee! Let's go ahead and grab one, and we're not using that space because it's behind the camera, remember? Okay, so I can move here, here, or here. Let's go ahead and move this away. This is the 5 of hearts. Hearts are calm moments. You come across a work of art that's too ungainly to simply grab and run with it. Describe it. How does it speak to you, holding you in its grasp until you shake yourself and go on your way? So, we've established that this is a urban fantasy setting. Little bit of magic involved. We've also established that the Coleview house was built with patriarchs who really don't care about people outside of what they can give them. But it would seem likely that if there is a touching piece of art, it's probably going to be the exception to this. Someone who was deeply loved, deeply wanted, greatly important to the family, by which I mean this is a painting of a dog. My priority, of course, as with all things, is that this is going to be either a Dachshund or a Pomeranian, so we will definitely go with the Pomeranian approach. It's going to be a beautiful picture of a Pomeranian sitting perhaps in the back seat of a um I had all these pictures earlier. Where did they go? Oh, there you. Probably looking as brave as he can. Um, let's go ahead and say it is this picture right here. That would be enough to fill anyone with a sense of awe at its beauty. Awe. Yes, that is the artwork which we have stumbled across, which has delayed me in my search for the owner of the house. See, told you. Um, and that I had to force myself to stop looking at. Okie dokie. This way, back this way. Seems silly to go back that way. Let's go ahead and head to the corner. Let's go ahead and get onto Tabletop Simulator again. Oh, another opportunity for treasure. 6 of diamonds. You find a weapon mounted on the wall. Describe what it looks like. Did the owner ever actually use it? And either way, what is their reputation in regards to combat? Acquire a piece of treasure, turn this card sideways. Now, whatever this is, partially because by the time I get to it, I will have forgotten, but mostly because where's the fun in that? This weapon cannot be used. So this is going to be an artifact from the Elder Cole's alleged time in the military. Now, what I'm seriously going with here is that 1700s the Elder Cole was in fact an officer in the local military, um, but was dishonorably discharged. Um, a fact which has been hidden from history through several large donations by his parents, um, with further assistance from um, ongoing donations to certain historical societies. So this is going to be a blade in a scabbard, specifically used for um, military dress. When you are drummed out of the military dishonorably, all of your pins and icons of service are forcibly removed. Your blade is put over the knee and bent. Um, so obviously, this is that exact sword. Now, is this a good piece of treasure? Just pawning? Absolutely not. Not like the silverware, but this would be extremely bad for the Cole family um, going forward if this got out as proof and evidence of their misdeeds, or specifically their hidden misdeeds. Let's go ahead and continue on our way through to the corner. And this is a 10 of spades. clubs, diamonds. Here's the spades. Oh, oh. An adorable little lapdog is napping here. Should I put the picture back up? I feel I should put the picture back up. What about the little critter gives you the impression that it will gnaw your ankles off if provoked? What prevents you from just turning around and walking away? It's a good boy. That's the answer to the question. When all dogs are good boys, even the girls, obviously. So if I mean it's adorable, so I can't say that it's like some little scabby unkempt puppy. Um it's just a I can't hate Pomeranians. It would make sense that if an ancestor had a Pomeranian and it was loved enough that it got that painting, that it would be a Pomeranian. But um it's not about the gnawing your ankles off. It's about the fact that it's going to have the loudest bark imaginable, and so it's not the dog chewing my ankles off that I'm worried about. It's the guards that are going to wonder why little Icky Poo is having a screaming fit. In our house, that would never happen because little Icky Poo, we would strongly expect him to have a screaming fit because someone opened a door. He was hungry. It was time to go outside. The wind blew the wrong way. He thought he heard a noise. He did hear a noise. One of the other dogs were annoying him. He was annoying one of the other dogs, and they weren't letting him, etc., etc., etc. But the simple fact is that it's a dog. It has good smelling. It has good hearing. I mean, they've got the little perched up ears, like I do. Let's go ahead and do that stealth check. So this is our stealth check is 10. So because I get a +4 immediately, well, see that lovely 6 looking thing? It's not actually a 6. So if I roll a less than a 6, I have lost my attempt at stealth, and that is an 8. That is completely acceptable. So I managed to get through without affecting him. Now, oh, this is supposed to be on its side. It is very important for me to remember that the 10 of spades is active. Moving on to the 10 of spades will require a stealth check. See event. Okie dokie. But one of the reasons why I grabbed the corner is because I should be able to avoid needing to go there. So, obviously the plan right now is I'm spiraling. We're going to go ahead and hug the outside, and then we're going to hug the inside, or whatever the correct phrase is when discussing the interior motions. I am not an expert at stealth or heisting or anything like that. So we're going on to this card next. This one is the Jack of Clubs. This is a misfortune. Now, if this calls for me to do a stealth check, I believe all the face cards are 12. I'll double check. Yep. All 3 face cards are a 12. Okay, 10 of clubs. Jack of clubs. I spent all that time discussing what kind of clubs. One of the owner's children, a spoiled brat, spots you. They're willing to look the other way if some of their parents' missing belongings become solely theirs. If you have any piece of treasure, you can choose to lose one forever. If you don't, reduce stealth by 1 as the brat runs off to tattle on you. Turn this card sideways. Okay, let's face it. Even if they forgot me, they have to know I'm here. So I really don't think that him reminding people is going to cause much more problems. Much more problems than what's going to happen if someone actually thinks to look in the study where I was supposedly waiting. So, no, you go ahead and tattle on me. I'm here for a job. I've got those papers with me. So if they send the boss man after me, I can serve him with the papers. I may not be able to return to the law firm to let them know that I returned the, or that I did the subpoena, but hopefully Dunham and Charles will at least make an assumption in that effect. Oh, well, that's good. That's the escape. I can just go ahead and leave right now. I'm not going to, but I can. Yeah, it's 7 o'clock. I've been playing for half an hour. Let's just go ahead and end the game here. The Queen of Diamonds. That sounds like a beautiful thing. You come across what? You come across the owner's elderly parent who mistakes you for one of their grandchildren, the nice one. They ask for some help getting to their room. What charming story of their own youth do they share? Once they've arrived, they give you a heavy pouch of coin and tell you to get yourself something nice. Acquire a piece of treasure. Okay. Odds are grandfather, evens are grandmother. Okay, so it is the grandmother. This is going to be the mother. Actually, let's go ahead. The owner's elderly, so we are kind of going for it being the paternal grand or the paternal mother. What charming story of their own youth do they share? Charming is the word that's going to stick with me here. You know, I've become slightly obsessed with Pomeranians as part of tonight's heist. There is no actual reason for that to have happened, but there it is. If he was here, I'd be putting him on my shoulder. I think we're going to. No, this is the grandmother. This is their youth before they would have met the or become a part of the Cole family. So, I would say that they told me a story about a treasure that a young them, 5-year-old, buried somewhere on their estate. Probably some sweet tokeny thing like a glass figurine. Um, they would have buried it because they were afraid of one of their older siblings. Let's go ahead and say older sister because my default is to say it's an older brother. So we're gonna say older sister instead. So it's a figurine. It was a glass figurine of a horse that she absolutely loved, and every time she did something that her older sister didn't like, her older sister would threaten to take it and smash it on the ground. So one day she went ahead and she buried it, but being 5, she had no idea where she had left it, or where she had buried it, and it was 8 years later, as she was crying about her forced marriage to the Cole estate, um, that one of her dogs smelled the pouch while it was doing its business and dug it up for her and brought it back to her on what she felt was the worst day of her life. Um, and that is the charming story that she shared with me before giving me a pouch of coin to treat myself to something nice, which I will, I suppose. And that card goes sideways. And so does my person. Okay, where do we go next? This is the 2 of spades, another dangerous situation. Although I can't seem to find it. There we go. A sleeping guard leaning against a wall or slumped in a chair, snoring loudly. What comical thing do you do to him as a prank? Make a stealth check. Okay, so again, a person with common sense would see a guard sleeping and go, let's just go ahead and ignore this person. But where is the fun in that? There are many, many things which would be absolutely blatant at this point. Shoelaces together, pants undone, drawing on them with a marker, which I don't believe I have. I should take advantage, though, of the fact that I have the ability to um, cast little spells of protection on things. I'm going to go ahead and protect his helmet. So here we've got this guard, full, classic regalia, iron breastplate, iron helmet, the sort of thing that you'd expect from medieval times, which they're being forced to uh, keep wearing to keep up appearances. So we'll just go ahead and cast a spell of protection, which will prevent him from reaching his helmet. It's not going to cause him any distress, but it will make it nigh impossible to take off his helmet. Because my stealth roll would be a 2, we can safely assume that I don't need to actually roll here. But moving on to the 2 of spades will require a stealth check. Sleeping Guard has his helmet stuck on with lesser magic. So easy for him to fix. Just, sort of dumb thing. Since I know where the exit is, the logical thing to do would be to move the spiral to, stay close, but I just pranked a sleeping guard when I'm trying to be careful. Let's not pretend that I'm the sharpest knife in the in my bag of stolen silverware. The Queen of Spades, that's bad. Oh, fantastic. Okay. The partner of the estate's owner is hosting guests. Who are they? What is the group discussing at this late hour? What does the relationship between them and the partner seem like? So I wouldn't have been told about the details, and professional courtesy as a courier would have prevented me from directly investigating the papers that I was hired to take care of. So I don't know exactly what criminal act we are presenting Edwin with. I would say, however, that since his mother was in a loveless arranged marriage is the phrase I'm looking for. It's probably going to be the same for this partner who I am going to go ahead and say is a spouse. So I would assume that these are very, very important guests that she is entertaining, and the stories that she's entertaining them with are probably of failures on Edwin's part. I would say that would make them already distracted, but obviously that is not the case. So yeah, while listening out for anything which possibly could be used against him, um, either professionally or privately, I'm going to go ahead and try and sneak out. So at +3, at a 12, so I need a 9 or better. That is a 12. That is a 9 or better. I have managed to avoid sticking my nose where someone would see it. It's not exactly the biggest nose in the world, but this is not a good time for even the vaguest of nosery. 5 of spades. I have hit the jackpot. 5 of spades. A locked door blocks your path. You didn't really prepare for picking locks after all. So how do you manage to get through this effort at halting your progress? Well, just because I didn't bring anything specifically for lockpicking doesn't mean that I don't have supplies that could come in handy. I have to assume that I have a something like a quill or something. Since we're kind of playing fast and loose with technical levels, we're going to go ahead and say ye old paperclip. Probably have some spares in case I need to do anything with the documents after I get them. So I believe I will be see, it's an indoor lock. You don't really want to have a really, really effective lock just in case someone gets in. And with a difficulty of 5, it's definitely not safe level. So yeah, let's go ahead and just use the quill, the rating quill, of course, and a adjusted not safety pin, paperclip to go ahead and try and pop this thing open. I will go ahead and note that this is probably good. This is going to relock after me, so I may be prepared for it to do that, but still need to be careful. So with 3 as my number, I don't want to get a 1. That's the only thing that can hurt me now. But it's a 9, because the little line is too hard to see when I'm zoomed out like that. Okay. So another one has paid off. Let's continue on the outside. The 10 of clubs. This place is a maze, and you could swear the rooms are moving. Described how the estate is designed to be confusing, or even how the rooms literally are moving. Remove every card aside from this one, reshuffle them, and place them all face down until the 4x6 grid is complete again. Where this card ends up in the grid is up to you. Turn this card sideways. Okay. I'm going to take liberties with this. I don't think that I should have the opportunity to get any of those treasures again. So I am going to go ahead and replace those. Let's go ahead and put you there, you there, you there, and you there. Okay, so this is the 10 of spades and me. Flip these back over. Since we've established that the setting is urban fantasy, and since we've established that they may have quote unquote forgotten me, but obviously I am very much still here. It's safe to say that there's some kind of protective hex on the area to ensure that uninvited guests do not have the opportunity. Okay, did not expect that to happen. Do not have the opportunity to make it through the house with too much ease. Sorry, as I amuse myself too much. Okay, so that's going to start there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That over there. So yeah, I think this place is a maze for me, especially because I have been caught in whatever ensnaring spell they have to make sure that it's not easy for anyone to get out of here. No, the card. There we go. I put those really tightly together this time. So I used to know how I was getting out. I don't know that anymore. 9 of spades. Fantastic. A room full of traps. What kind of traps do you manage to spot? Which one has already been triggered? And what did it do to an earlier thief? Make a stealth check. See, this is where we seriously prove that we're in an urban fantasy setting, because one should really not have. We know that there is at least one young child. We know that there is at least one lapdog, and we know that there is at least one elderly mother. So maybe having a trap room is not necessarily the best idea. I would have to assume that means that I've ended up in the basement somehow. And by somehow, I mean because of the spell that's preventing me from keeping my orientation in here. So whatever the trap is, it has to have a little bit of just to be on the safe side, you know. We definitely don't want to off grandma. So I'm going to say that the trap is probably something like a glue traps, or maybe a I can't remember a cloaker. Yeah, that's the one. A cloaker. Something that's going to be hiding on the ceiling that's going to go ahead and flop down, um, trying to trap me. So this is less a stealth check and more of a combat roll, just this once. 6 or better. We are looking for a 6 or better. And we've gotten a 3. We are knocking down the stealth by 1 because I had to fight to get out from under the cloaker before I was found the next morning when people were looking for it, possibly slightly gnawed on. Obviously it would know the scent of family members, so I would not smell like them. Too bad I didn't find anyone's perfume room, or I would have an advantage there. Go ahead and make a note there. Oh, I don't need to keep any of these. I'll keep my note on the 2 of spades, but everything else is going to trigger anew when I land on it. So let's see what is in this area as I try to get myself out of the basement. The 5 of spades. What was the 5? That was a locked door. So we know how I dealt with it previously. What are we looking at now? This is the 5, so as long as I get a 3 or better, I'm good. Come on. There you go. What is that? A 10. So another success. Okay. We'll go ahead and keep moving in the spiral. The Ace of Hearts. That sounds very promising. Oh. Except I'm not. I have apparently had a bit of a nervous breakdown here because I have realized that I am doomed. That every doorway holds a guard, every floorboard creaks, every item is both ridiculously wobbly and startlingly fragile, and then I don't feel alone anymore. Maybe it's the god of plans that aren't supposed to work, but somehow do, has decided to bless me in one way or another. And again, entirely possible that's exactly who it is. Although it's also possible that there's another thief, maybe someone who's actually prepared for this, who's also in the estate right now, and they're going to go ahead and safely and wisely find a way to get the guards and everyone to look in other sections of the estate. So let's go ahead, instead of making it some unknowable power, someone who wants to kick Edwin Cole and his estate in the ass, and is more than happy to have me help them out, because chances are me stumbling around the way that I am is going to be just as useful. The 9 of Hearts. You find the entrance to a series of secret passages that run throughout the estate. Instead of moving your marker to an adjacent card, you can instead switch this card with any face-up card, moving your marker with it. There is some justice in going from the 9 to the 9. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we can start swinging back around this way. Since we can easily avoid that. The 8 of Hearts. A genuine set of masterwork thieves' tools. It's a flashback to when I was playing Dungeon Crawl Classic and the Hounds of Halgraf Keep. Who did they belong to, and how could they have possibly come to be here? You don't think that my friend, who's already decided to use me as a distraction, decided to leave me a present? That would be extremely kind of them. So let's go ahead and increase stealth by 1. I am going to go ahead and make that part of my inventory. And if I come across another locked thing, I'm going to take advantage of those. We'll see if such a thing happens. The Queen of Spades. This no. Those are clubs. Those are clubs. Oh god! It's the cat! How did you enrage the true and rightful authority of the household? You know what the answer to that is. You always step on the cat's tail. No matter what, you are walking through the library, you step on the cat's tail, it yowls, everyone's surprised, it goes through the air. We've all seen this before. Retreat your marker to the previous room, then remove this card and 3 other face down cards. 1, 2, 3. Flip. And we're going to shuffle those 4 cards. And we're going to put them randomly, which is going to mean the cat is still out there somewhere. Let's go ahead and assume the best, since I scared him off, or he's stalking me. This is probably not still the cat room. Okay, it is not. You completely eat it, finding yourself face down on the floor. This is an easy one for me to figure out. What led you to somehow taking a tumble? I was looking for the cat to make sure that it wasn't going to get stepped on me again. So, yeah, I smacked into a wall or something as I was creeping through the doorways and just managed to lightly tap the floorboards, scream, jump back, fall onto my ass, and it is a miracle that no one noticed. It's probably because they heard the cat screeching and they probably assumed that it was just looking for that. So that doesn't turn sideways. So unfortunately, if I make the mistake of going back there, which I won't need to, I'll embarrass myself again. The King of Diamonds. That is promising. Oh dear. The deed to a piece of real estate. Describe what sort of other property the estate's owner has in their possession. Discuss what sort of plans you have for it, for the location, if you make it out of the estate tonight. Sell it, use it, rig it up as a decoy. Either way, acquire a piece of treasure. I'm going to go ahead and make this a very impressive piece of treasure for a change of pace, since that's a good one. And the simple fact is, you know who's going to want this? That is going to be the law firm. Maybe they won't be able to directly use it since no one knows where it came from. But if I can get it into their hands through means that are both clandestine and yet completely legal, this is probably going to be part of their. I mean, think of all the possible things that you could do. There's got to be some evidence again towards his crimes there. Yeah, I am not going to try and steal this or pass it off of my own. I am going to go ahead and make sure that it gets into some files that the law firm already legally has access to, and that way, Dunham and Charles will be able to take advantage of it on their own once they investigate what it is. And of course, that's a treasure, so it goes sideways. Okay, we continue our way through the open areas and another treasure. It's a piece of jewelry. What kind of it? What about where you find it tells you something of its history? Acquire a piece of treasure, and of course, turn this card sideways. If it was something that was important to the matriarch of the household, it would have been in her rooms. That would mean that this is something that one of the children was fond of, um, like the horse statuette, and they lost it somewhere randomly upon the estate. Um, I'm going to say that it's a brooch, something with a semi-precious stone, something like I'm gonna go with tiger's eye. That's gonna be something that's always going to be attractive to just kind of stare at. So I think that it just was a case of she was playing with her little treasure, someone called to her or whatever, and I was sneaking under a table to avoid notice by guards, and that's how I happened to stumble across it. So it is absolutely horrible of me to be keeping this. Shame, shame, shame. It's mine anyway. Oh, and there's the escape. So right now I have 5 pieces of treasure and 45 minutes left. Let's go ahead and keep on keeping on. If this is a spade, though, that's going to make things very, very interesting. It is a club. The 8 of clubs, to be specific. That is the spades. You are almost caught by a passing patrol, but managed to hide yourself in a suit of armor. Describe it. So it's a suit of armor. We've already discussed that even though the house was built in the 1700s and it's been at least two and a half centuries, they're still keeping to these feudalistic middle age type stuff. So this is going to be one of your classic suits of armor. Um, the question is, why do I think that this is a good hiding place? Um, because I'm stupid, which of course is the underlying motive this entire time. So when I try to get out of it, I find myself stuck within it. The only way to get it off is to escape. Acquire a piece of treasure, but reduce stealth by 2. Fortunately, at this point, I have had enough benefits to make up for that. And you cannot discard this treasure. So inventory, wearing armor. Full plate armor. Clank, clank, clank. So yeah, I'm gonna have 1 piece of treasure no matter what. 1 piece of treasure cannot be discarded if the alarm is raised. Okay. So And speaking of attempting to raise the alarm, the 10 of spades. We found the puppy. So obviously we're still assuming the good hearing. It's not going to smell me quite as well, but he's absolutely going to be hearing the clanking and be extremely confused by the fact that one of the ornamental pieces that he's probably used as a latrine in the past is now coming to haunt him. So overall, this is just the same as that bratty kid we ran into. Um, so 10, 3, I'm trying for a 7 or better. That is a 3. A 3 is not a 7 or better. So we now have a loudly barking dog. We have a man trying to shush it desperately, despite not having anything to shush it with. And we have a person in plate armor who's now running from a small dog because I would not want to accidentally hurt it, especially by falling over it, since we know that that can happen. The Jack of Hearts. A prisoner? Who are they and why have they been locked up in the estate? Do you free them? If so, acquire a piece of treasure, don't decrease stealth, turn this card sideways, and factor them into future prompts. If you don't, increase stealth by 1 as the guards have someone else to keep an eye on, turn this card sideways, and describe how they react to being left behind. Absolutely, I'm not going to leave them behind. I'm going to say that this is probably an affair partner. I doubt that someone as sinister, shouldn't use that word, but I'm going to, as sinister as Edwin wouldn't care about his wife having an affair. I think, though, that they were caught publicly enough that he had to do something about it. So obviously I've got lockpicks, so setting him on his way is not going to be a difficult thing. An old paramour of the wife has been set free to wander the house. Go ahead and put that in my inventory. Slightly weird thing to put in the inventory. Treasure in this case is actually going to be a favor for later, but for right now, he's going to be trapped in the exact same web spell that's giving me grief. So I'm going to let us go our separate ways. Because obviously I can't give him any advice. I can tell him to avoid the goddamn dog. That might be useful. Yep, another treasure room. An overly flattering portrait of the owner. What ridiculous embellishments did the artist make at the owner's discretion? How strongly do you consider vandalizing it instead before grabbing it? Acquire a piece of treasure. Turn this card sideways. I didn't take the Pomeranian painting, which would probably be worth money, but I'm going to take a picture of Edwin. Seamus, no, 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 I refuse. I am not taking a piece of treasure here. You can demand later that I retroactively turn the stealth down, but no, this particular treasure is being left behind. They can have it, they can keep it. There is I don't care how nice the mahogany uh, frame around the painting is, but no, I'm abandoning this treasure. Uh Thank you. Thank you, but no thank you. Okay. A 2 of hearts. A simple, out of the way corner that you can take a moment to relax in, concealed in shadows. How are you feeling about the high so far? What's your biggest regret from before you got inside, and what has got your hopes up? Well, right now, we've established that there are a couple of items that I've managed to get my hands on, which are going to, if I can play my cards right, um, make Old Man Cole a very troubled person indeed. I mean, I don't know exactly what they've got on him this time that the law office is going to be able to actually get him to a trial if I can present these papers. Um, but I've got something at this point, either the estate, which is going to give them evidence for later, or something akin to that, that is going to make things easier for them. So I'm feeling fairly positive, except for the fact that I still have the actual subpoena, which I have not been able to deliver yet. So this is kind of we've got a personal quest here, kind of like last time, where I want to get I'm assuming the King of Spades, or maybe it's the Ace of Spades. I don't know. To actually confront the owner. We'll see how that works out. King of Clubs. Not the one I was worried about. You wander into the kitchen and run afoul of the head chef. They list bizarre ingredients and demand you go fetch them. What are they? Assign 1 to 4 to each side of the estate, then roll 2 to 4. The first is the direction you're sent in. The second is how many cards you move. If you leave the grid, they sent you to the market. You're out, but the heist is over. Proceed to counting the loot. That's hilarious. Okay. So, there's a story I've heard, and I don't have any way of knowing the veracity of it, that all of the, well, it was brought up in the Agatha All Along. So I'm sure that Disney would not play fast and loose with anything like that. Um, but of course, that the idea that all these things had horrible names, like Eye of Newt and Breath of Frog and all that sort of stuff, which are actually just normal things. But um, in a case like this, it's going to sound a lot more like going to the store for headlight fluid, the snipe hunt, those kind of things. Let's go ahead and grab myself a 4-sided die. Close the book for the moment. 4-sided die. And put the back up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say 1 is up here. Do I have a text? I do. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so stop using the text. Go back here. You certainly weren't supposed to be here. Okay. So the first thing is which direction I am being sent in. That is 3. So I'm being sent south. I don't have much room to the south. And 1. Okay, so I'm just moved back to this room here. The 2 of hearts was just a nice alcove, right? Yeah. So all good there. So I don't want to go there again. I will be asked why I haven't gotten the tongue of frag. Tongue of frag? Tongue of frog, or whatever it is. And he's not having me I'm not being asked to turn the card on its side, so that's going to be repeated. The King of Hearts. Suddenly, you're surrounded by a master thief and their crew, laden with treasure, yet as silent as a whisper. What do they have to say about your presence in the estate? This is the guy that I met before, who already was kind enough to leave lockpicks for me. So, what do they have to say about your presence in the estate? It's fantastic. My bumbling around, and now that we've got yet another person bumbling around, is going to make it really easy for them to do their things without any kind of concerns, because everyone knows I'm here. If someone finds out that the previous beau of the Lady Cole had been found, that's going to be another example, and it's just going to be smooth sailing for everyone. So, happy days. Okay. And they were just kind enough to go ahead and give me another piece of treasure. And then I move into the next room and find yet something else. It is an antique timepiece. What time is it frozen on? And what oddly relatable message is carved on the inside of its cover? So this was a gift from probably one of the kinder ancestors to their spouse, before they got trapped and forced to continue the Cole not lineage, that's not the word I'm looking for, but the Cole way of doing things. And I'm sure it says something like there always will be a tomorrow, but since it's stopped, I would say that it's probably been put at 11:59 just to make a bleak joke about the There's Always Tomorrow. But I will go ahead and move on. The Queen of Spades. Okay, that is the wife again. She's again, well, she's still having her chat. So I need a 10 or better on this one. So I did not successfully get them to get past them this time. So yeah, there's this guy in a suit of plate mail with a timepiece under one arm. It's not too surprising that they noticed me. I am going to go ahead and give her the subpoena and have her sign for it to get that out of the way. And since she's not fond of her husband, she's probably willing to give it to him. And frankly, I can't see myself being in a position to keep on keeping on this way just to hopefully run into him. Also, my stealth is at 1, so getting out again after putting it to him would be difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and return to the kitchen from here. I'm going to explain to the chef that I absolutely did not find the tongue of... What was it I was looking for? Because frog, because I accidentally called it tongue of frag. Let's go ahead and see where he tries to get me to go this time. That is a 1, so that's going to be up. If I roll larger than 1, then I've been sent to the market. That is a 1, so I am going to this one, which is the cat. So, how did I manage to enrage it? By walking around in a suit of armor, obviously. Okay, so the cat and 3 other cards. Let's go ahead and push that one, and that one. Shuffle them up. Although this might be moot, we'll just have to see. So I'm heading south. 1 space. That's just a nice, relaxing place. Okay. So here, I need an 8 or better to avoid it. I can go back into the kitchen and try and get another attempt. What was this? Oh, this was the trap room. If I can get back to here, everything else is smooth sailing. If I fail here, then the alarm is raised. And I'm going to have to start throwing treasure to get out of here. But Let's go ahead and try the head chef again. So up this time. Just the one. That was the cat again. I'm currently not fond of that cat. Okay, so directional is west, and spaces is 1. I goofed. Okay. Technically, there's still hope. If I roll an 11, that was not an 11. The alarm has been raised. So let's go back and try and remember the if the escape route has been found, you must not move farther away from it than where you were when the alarm was raised. I don't think that limits me much. I mean, I'm what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards away. I think that technically would mean that I need to go south here. You continue to make stealth checks, but you can go ahead and give away a piece of treasure. So we're going to go ahead and flee this way. We're going to go ahead. This is the 10. So 10, 11, 12. That's a 1. So we're going to go ahead and discard a piece of treasure to try and re-roll that, because I can't really spend much treasure on a 1. That is a 10. So that one was successful. That brings me back to the 8 of clubs, which is where I got the suit. I think that probably should have been turned sideways, so we're going to treat it that way. But that brings me here. So I have a difficulty of 11 here. I want this to be a high roll so that I can go ahead and spare some of this treasure. A 2 is not a high roll. Let's try that again. A 12 is a high roll, which means I have escaped. So let's go ahead and count the loot. I have 5, 6, 7, which puts me at disgustingly rich. I don't see the need to perform another heist ever again. Might need to hire some security. What does your retirement look like? What purpose does all that looted treasure truly serve? This entire time, all I've really cared about is getting dirt on the coal. Maybe they were responsible for a family member being killed. Honestly, half of this stuff is just going to be going to whatever organizations can use it against the coal view and its residents. And maybe I should take what's left and learn a little more magic than just something that's going to enable me to keep a subpoena in an envelope safely. But regardless, an excellent evening. That 12 at the end there was beautiful. So another fantastic game. Thank you, Seamus. And I do love the whole I've spaced the name. The Carta system. It's such a great idea for this kind of solo play. If I am looking for a way to do a solo X crawl, that's probably going to be perfect for that. So, with that being said, I am, as always, Screaming Wyvern. This has been Thursday solo role-playing game night. Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. will be my first full game of X-Crawl Classics. Got a few friends and a couple of new friends, assuming they remain that way afterwards. So if you see this and have the time then, come and join us. And otherwise, I will see you next week. And as always, be one of the good ones, because there's way too many of the bad.